Well, guys, we just filmed a really great episode with our buddy Pete. He's still with us. We wanted to do a very quick episode on boats. We get a ton of people ask about boats. We wanted to make this a separate episode that was just a mini about boats.
I guess this is just a continuation from the conversation we had with Jake Circle. You know, we did a bit of a deep dive into boats, and the three of us obviously talked mostly about freshwater boats, whether it be a raft, a drift boat, or a jet boat. I guess a jet boat could be a saltwater boat as well. But figured this was a great time to ask someone what the heck they're looking for in skiffs. I think all of us get a little bit of envy when we see a good-looking skiff running through a shallow water, pushing it around. Pete, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe just some basics of what you're looking for in a skiff?
Yeah. So the first thing I'd say, like when you're looking at skiffs, is you need to know where you're going to be fishing at. The skiffs designed for Florida, they work in Texas, but they're not skiffs designed for Texas. So I run a Sabine Versatile. It's got a flat bottom, and most skiffs coming out of Florida, they'll have a little bit to some dead rise. Normally those skiffs that I've seen, they can also, a lot of the newer builds, you know, they can put a, 70 plus horsepower motor on the back. And if you've ever fished the Everglades, you'll understand exactly why those captains down there, they need the power, they need the speed to move. They got a lot of ground to cover. Here in Texas, average depth is probably 2 feet. And so the big thing that I'm looking for when I was looking for a skiff, is, obviously it can handle, a decent sea state really well, but also, because a lot of times you're crossing over bays. We don't do it as much. That's something else to consider is how much open water you're going to be covering to get to your spot. If you're crossing big bays, you're going to want some dead rise, a little more dead rise to your boat. If you're going to be dealing with any kind of swell pretty constantly, you're going to want just, something with a little bit higher gunnels also that can handle that sea state. That some of that stuff can make those boats a little trickier to pole. But at the end of the day, getting home is just as important as getting out. So when you're looking at skiffs, definitely understand the water where you're going to be fishing. When it comes to Texas and like the skiff that I have and a lot of the skiffs that get run around here, we'll run the skiff I run, it's got low gunnels, and a flat bottom, which, even with 3 people, on the skiff, full tank of gas and a cooler full of ice, she'll still float, 4 or 5 inches. And that's the next thing is to see kind of what they'll float at. Everybody wants a boat that goes fast, but if you can go fast but can't get to the fish, it doesn't matter. So definitely you want to have an understanding of what that boat can float in. And then you want to look for something that can track really, really well, especially in windy conditions. So if you were going to go test drive a skiff, it's great if it can do 40 plus miles an hour, but what you really want to do is you want to pole that boat and you want to get into some skinny water and see how she does. One of the things I love about my Sabine is that, 20 plus knots of wind, I can put some power to her poling and we can, it's a workout, but you can pull her upwind. You can pull her, she'll pull really good side with the wind on your beam, which is really nice. It kind of slows down your drift if you're working a big flat, and you're crisscrossing across it, being able to do that. So definitely some things to look for. And then kind of circling back when you're running jack plate, definitely you're going to want a jack plate. My boat's got a tunnel hull, which, where I'm running definitely is a must because we don't want to tear up flats. We don't want to tear up seagrass. So being able to get that propeller up above everything is a must. Everybody around here, we're all running short shaft motors just to help, keep the poling platform from being 20 feet in the air to get over that motor. I know plenty of guys that run long shaft motors around here, but it definitely helps having a short shaft and being able to run a little bit skinnier if you have to. And that's kind of what I'll preface is, my boat, she's got a tunnel hull, she's got a jack plate, short shaft motor, and trim tabs. And with the trim tabs too. So this was when I was researching skiffs and learning, one of the things that I thought was really cool was you'll trim your motor, and that's going to affect kind of where your stern's sitting, because if you've got a lot of thrust pushing your stern up, or you got a lot of thrust pushing your stern down. So when you add trim tabs to the back, what that helps do is then level out the bow of the boat. So that's going to basically allow you to pick your whole boat up out of the water. So like if I'm running jacked up, you might have the prop in the water, and which, can be dangerous, and definitely want to know what you're doing with that. But that's with the trim tabs and the jack plate, I have the ability to basically run if there's water. It's not something I do or like doing. The motor definitely doesn't like it, but if we get into a situation and we're in an emergency and I gotta, get somebody somewhere, I know I can move that skiff through, a few inches of water if I have to, trying to get somebody home. I think that's kind of a big thing to think about too when you're running skiffs is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. A lot of that stuff I think is more of a, in case of emergency. And that's what I look at a lot. I spend way too much time on boats. Kind of my background, a little bit is I'm a trained merchant mariner. I've got a master unlimited license, spend a lot of time at sea. And that's one of the things that is always in the back of my mind is, if this goes wrong, will this vessel allow me to get home safely, whether it be crossing a bay or whether it be getting myself off a flat as quickly and safely as possible. If you get a thunderstorm that rolls up on you and you got to get out of there, you got to get out of there. It's, safety obviously comes first, but it should be followed closely by, taking care of the environment that you are fishing. But I don't know, I kind of rambled there. But yeah, skiff wise, definitely, one of the things that I've seen a lot, if you ever go onto micro skiff and look at the forums, you'll see a lot of guys that'll be like, whoa, how come, this skiff costs 13 grand and this one costs 30 or 40? And I can tell you from having been able to pull those, $13,000, $15,000, like, Anconas and stuff like that. They don't do well in the wind. They are not built the same. There's a reason those more expensive skiffs cost what they do. A lot of time went into the engineering. One of the things I can tell you, like pulling my buddy Zach's boat, if it's a windy day, we got to find shelter because you're not going to win against the wind. The gunnels are just so high that you basically have a lot of sail area, and the boat just takes off. One of the things that I will with the Sabine that I got, if you go on their website, they talk about no hull slap. That's another big issue that will spook fish off. And I can tell you that Sabine, Brian, the guy that designed them and built them and owns them, he put a lot of time into getting everything just right, so there's no hull slap. So when those waves come across along the side of the hull, they just roll right on down.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling when you're pulling, you got a fish in sight, and then some wave comes in, makes a little bit of noise on the side of the boat, and your shot's gone, and you did nothing wrong.
Yeah. No, I think they're any boat that's really, most of the boats that are out there today are they're workhorses. They're designed to be fished. They're designed to be pulled. They're designed for safety. And I think that, you guys were talking about what's the best boat. I have to say skiffs. When you guys were doing that the whole time, I was in my truck and I was yelling at you guys. You couldn't hear me, but
Listen, my raft would be able to get us out of a flat in an emergency, no problem. I would not tear up the. I didn't say that. It would not tear up the grass and the bottom and the sand, and I mean, you just float right over all that stuff.
I want you to bring that raft down here one day.
That'd be such a good video.
It'd be so fun.
Saltwater raft.
I think one of the things, though, I do think with skiffs that kind of gets overlooked is, you know, you can fish in fresh water. I've taken mine out on lakes. Probably need a trolling motor if you're going to really get into it, which I don't have. But if you wanted to, like, you know, they're versatile in that aspect of if you wanted to go bass fishing on a lake, you know, just throw a trolling motor on, you're good.
Yeah, it's just a bass boat. I mean, at that point,
it's just not sparkly.
Yeah. Got to have the sparkles. The bass.
You could probably get one painted sparkled if you wanted to.
Yeah, I need glitter. I need glitter in the paint if I'm going to have a boat.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No.
Have you ever owned a drift boat or a raft?
I've been in it. I went rafting once. Does that count?
So nothing.
Yeah.
There's no bias here.
Look, we're not here for biases, or we are here for biases.
Yeah.
Well, so to wrap it up for the folks, I think one of the reasons we get not the raft wanderer,
yeah,
the drift boat wanderer. One of the reasons I think we get so many questions on it is a really difficult purchase, right? It's one of the most difficult purchases I think you can make because you can't. There's not a fantastic way to test them. It's not like a fly rod that you can go demo in the parking lot. You know, it's a lot of money, and if you make the wrong choice, you know, you potentially have this boat that you're only going to use for about a season, and then you're going to try to sell it and maybe lose a little bit of money on it. You know, going from a new to a used boat or whatever. I mean, Pete, do you have any recommendations? I mean, you know, other than, you know, find a friend with that boat, maybe like an owner's forum on a boat that you're interested in buying like that. Maybe you can meet up and fish with someone off of it, or I don't know. I mean, do you have any insight on, obviously we know now what to look for, but what about like, how do you pick one? Cause even, I mean, I know there's still a bunch of options in the boat world.
I'd say, like, if you're looking for a used boat, and reach out to the owner and tell them that, you know, you want to take it for a test drive. And then, like I was saying, if you're taking it for a test drive, that means you need to pull it as well as run it. You know, just because, you know, you might not like how it handles while you're pulling it. And then if you're looking at new boats, reach out to the builder. I can tell you, like, when I started looking at getting my boat, I was talking to Brian a bunch, and he hooked me up with a guy in my area that had a Sabine and took me out for the day and let me pole it, let me run it, and kind of cemented in that I really liked him. But yeah, most of those guys, most of those builders especially, like, you know, they want you to have the opportunity to test out what they've built. And a lot of them will do what they can to try to hook you up with somebody in your area that they know personally, and they'll, you know, you get a day of fishing out of it too.
For sure, that's a good point. Well, Pete, thanks for stopping by again. Yeah. We really appreciate the intel on the boats. We just wanted to do a quick separate podcast on boats for those of you who were interested. If you are watching this, we did just film another podcast with Pete that was a deep dive into red fishing, and the Texas coast, and kind of what's going on there. So make sure you hop on over to one of the places that this is and watch that.
YouTube, Spotify, and Google, and maybe Apple soon.
Maybe Apple at some point. We're still working on it.
I might just boycott Apple.
Well, you can't do that because everything we own is Apple now.
Mm-hmm. Have you thought about taking him out fishing? Maybe he doesn't want to golf.
He's more of a golf guy.
Yeah.
What about the assistant?
Yeah, the assistant is she probably would like to go fishing. But Tim specifically said golf guy. That's it. So,
yeah, he strikes me as a golf guy.
I don't know if you want to be on Apple then.
See, I'm saying we could always boycott it.
We could boycott Apple. Nah, let's just next time y'all's tea time comes up, just ask them about it again. We'll figure it out.
Yep. Right on.
All right, guys, we appreciate y'all watching and signing on. Thanks so much for any. Make sure you go watch Pete on YouTube. His stuff's going to be linked below, and we'll see you guys later.